friends, welcome to Wing Gravity, and today we are going to talk about the chapter of structure of atoms, and this is the chapter of class 9 chemistry, and this is the part 1 video. So this is the first time ever that we are going to talk about something which is inside an atom. Okay, so always we talked about the things which are externally of atom. So this is going to be a very interesting chapter of class 9 chemistry, and at the same time it is also very important. But before moving on to structure of atoms, we need to also talk about what happened during those timeline in which the structure of atoms were postulated one by one, and also we need to understand what are subatomic particles. So first in this video we will talk about these kinds of things, and then next we will move on to actual structure of atoms. So now let's first talk about what are subatomic particles. So basically in an atom, so this is an atom. This is a very bad representation of atom, but however, just to learn we need to do that. Okay, so basically if we see in this atom, there is something called a nucleus located exactly at the center of the atom, and it is very dense in nature, and it has all the mass of the atom concentrated into that single dot like structure. All the mass is actually concentrated into this place known as the nucleus, and this nucleus is made up of particles known as protons and also another particle known as neutrons. So these are the particles inside of a very dense structure known as the nucleus. So these two particles are combinedly known as the nucleons. What it is? Nucleons. Why it is called nucleons? Because they make up the nucleus. So for basically if you see you are from India, so you call yourselves Indian. So just like that, protons and neutrons are from the nucleus, and thus they are known as nucleons. That's all. So the nucleus is the dense structure present somewhat in the center, and it consists of protons and neutrons. So these two are one of the subatomic particles. Then whatever region is external of the nucleus region is known as the extranuclear region. That's all. It's really simple. Nuclear region and extranuclear region. So this extranuclear region contains the subatomic particle which we call as electron. So basically protons and neutrons make up the nucleus, and the nucleus is in the center of the atom, and it is very dense in nature, and it is like dot, very kind of like very small compared to the whole size of atom, and all the mass is concentrated into that one dot, that is a nucleus. So the nucleus is consisting of protons and neutrons, and in the extranuclear region outside of the nucleus of the atom there is electrons revolving, or they are in orbits around this nucleus. So this is what is somewhat a very basic idea of an atom. Okay, so these three particles, these three individual particles, proton, neutron and electron, these three things are known as subatomic particles. Subatomic particles means particles which reside inside an atom and constitute the atom. So every atom has these three things. So let's now go into the discovery of these subatomic particles. So let's first talk about the discovery of electrons. Okay, so let's start. So first basically if you see the discovery of electrons, that recognition should be given to J.J. Thomson, and J.J. Thomson discovered the particle in 1897. So J.J. Thomson was the scientist who discovered the electron first, and he should be given that proper recognition, and he discovered this particle in 1897. So Thomson discovered the electron in 1897 using an instrument known as the discharge tube. So the discharge tube. So he used the instrument of discharge tube. So William Crookes was the first ever scientist who built this discharge tube, and it was used for the discovery of the particle of electron later by J.J. Thomson. So Thomson actually somewhat modified the design of William Crookes and used it to study some kind of effects produced in that discharge tube, and then later he studied that properties and characteristics, and with that he discovered the electron. So now let's first understand what do you mean by discharge tube. We need to understand what it is, what is the instrument actually, and how were the effects actually done. So let's learn about the discharge tube. Okay, so basically if we see the discharge tube is a very long elongated tube and it is bottle like in nature. So this is the discharge tube. Here you go. This is the discharge tube, and the discharge tube looks like somewhat like in bottle kind of shape, and also at the same time it is elongated in nature, which means it is having a large length, and it is also bottle like in nature, but it is actually hollow inside. Okay, that is really important. It's hollow inside where gases and all kinds of things are stuffed inside, and that is the reason why we also call it as bottle like, because even bottles have that empty space inside to store water, right? So just like that, this discharge tube is hollow inside and it is made up of glass and it is an elongated tube. So this has electrodes fixed into the end. So what do you mean by electrodes? This is a new term for us. So electrodes are basically metal pieces, metal plates, that is the proper word. So metal plates which actually are used for conductivity are known as electrodes, and these metal plates are actually, as you can see, these are the metal plates that we are talking about. So these are the metal plates known as electrodes which are fixed into the end. So very simple, right? So basically discharge tube is an elongated bottle like tube having metal plates fixed into the sides. Now these electrodes are connected to the battery outside like this. That is the thing. This is the setup of an discharge tube. Okay, the discharge tube is an elongated tube, it's bottle like, and electrodes are fixed into the end, and electrodes are metal plates, and at the same time the metal plates known as electrodes are connected to a battery. So one electrode is connected to one terminal, another one is connected to another terminal. So now we have to understand what is anode and cathode. We have understood what is electrodes. We need to understand what is anode and cathode. Cathode means the electrode. It is also an electrode. The electrodes are classified into anode and cathode. So basically if you see here, whatever electrode is, so let me pick another color. Okay, whatever electrode is connected to the negative terminal of the battery, it is known as cathode, and whatever electrode is connected to the positive terminal of the battery, and that is known as anode. So anode means the electrode connected to the positive terminal, and the cathode means the electrode connected to the negative terminal. So this is the setup of a discharge tube. This is very important so that we understand the discovery of electrons. So now let's look at what was the effect produced in all these kinds of things. Okay, so basically if we see one of the William Crookes experiments, so William Crookes, as he said, was the first to design this discharge tube, and one of his experiments he found that in the discharge tube, so let me pick another color. Okay, in the discharge tube, certain rays, what do you mean by rays? Something which travel in straight lines. So for now let's have this kind of thing so that we somewhat kind of understand this kind of thing. Okay, something which is particulate in nature and travels in straight line, that's all. So these certain rays travel from cathode to anode. So what do you mean by cathode? So here is cathode. So cathode is the electrode connected to the negative terminal. So from cathode some kind of ray. So let me erase everything. So some kind of rays travel from this cathode to anode. So anode is the electrode connected to the positive terminal. So from this cathode, the rays are going to anode. So this is what he noticed in this discharge tube experiments. So when did these rays originate? So when did these rays come? So let's talk about that. So how did these rays come? So only when there's a very low pressure inside, that is pressure reduced to a very large extent, and a very large voltage is also applied. So there should be two conditions for these rays to appear. So this is what William Crookes actually saw in his experiment. When he was doing these experiments, he found that in these discharge tubes there is certain rays traveling from cathode to anode when the pressure inside the tube is reduced to a very large extent. That is, so basically what is the pressure inside the tube? We need to understand that. So the pressure inside the tube means, we know that inside this tube there is air molecules and air is filled inside this thing. So this air exert a pressure on the walls of these containers. We know that because we have studied atmospheric pressure and gas pressure and fluid pressure and all these kinds of things in 8th class in the lesson of force and pressure. So we know that this air will exert some kind of pressure into these walls. So he is saying that when this pressure is almost reduced to zero, if the pressure is reduced means what? The air is sucked outside. That is, the air inside the tube is being removed outside so that the pressure is reduced. So only when like that, when you remove the air from inside to a very large extent, so that the pressure inside is reducing to a very large extent, almost close to zero, only when in those during of times, and at the same time if you apply a very large voltage, then if the two conditions are satisfied, then we will see some rays traveling from cathode to anode. Okay, so what are the two conditions? The pressure must be very low and also at the same time the voltage must be very high. So only when that happens in this tube, he notices some kind of rays traveling from cathode to anode. So as these rays travel from cathode to anode, he named it as cathode rays because its origin is from cathode, and thus he named it as cathode rays. So basically if you see these cathode rays were examined by J.J. Thomson using his somewhat later modified and slightly advanced version of this discharge tube, and he found out that these rays were basically consisting of small charged particles known as electrons. So basically this rays coming from the cathode to anode is basically some kind of negatively charged rays constituting of negatively charged particles, and thus he found out that these particles were electrons, and this is how electrons were discovered. So that is the reason why from the first itself I insisted on the learning of the discharge tube and all these kinds of experiments, so that we can understand how it was discovered, and this was really fun to learn about this thing. So this is it for today, and thank you for watching, and subscribe to my channel Wind Gravita and stay tuned for more videos.